Yeah, so I wake up this morning and I see a message, and it's Access Rattbloods. Are you here, Rattblood?
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
I'm not the fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood, I see. All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about it.
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
Are you here, Rattblood?
I'm not the fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood, most abundant and successful king hero that we are all sitting with at this very moment. Are you willing to accept that as a truth? That you are a worthy man and that your penis is okay?
All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now.
Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood?
Who the fuck is Access Rattblood?
I'm not the fucking Rattblood, bitch.
All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about it.
I'm not the fucking Rattblood. Yes, it is true. Heir to the throne of Satan himself, I am Access Rattblood. And I just got that news today. So, being the heir to the throne of Satan, I have to follow succession. Thus, once Satan meets his divine demise, we're going to have that period of Osborne. Yeah, Ozzy got nominated before me to the throne. Go figure. But, I'll wait in line. Still a ever subservient and willing participant to the throne of hell. I can handle Ozzy's reign, I suppose. I mean, I didn't mind him at all here on Earth, actually. Thought he was quite fascinating, inspiring even. But secession is secession. And eventually, I will get my throne. In the meantime, I have subservient duties to uphold. And it seems that today we have been deprived. I almost feel that I may not be doing my job well enough. I mean, there are so many missing in action today that are generally obnoxiously broadcasting, if you want to call it broadcasting. Anyhow, this concerns me. I have standards and obligations to keep. So I may have to actually summons the Dark Lord himself to inspire me into provoking these channels to represent. I mean, don't start it if you're not going to finish it. That's the first sign of failure. Lack of endurance, such as my wonderful onslaught of lurkers that generally hide themselves in the shadows. You reveal yourself eventually. It doesn't matter. But I do have some subservient names that I want to address that I'm concerned. I'm actually curious even. I mean, these are the fundamental ass end backside of YouTube personas of the Pentalverse. And when they don't make an appearance, then my quota of meeting daily sin through the use of others starts to drop, and I don't want to draw that kind of attention. So first off, we will start with Illumitami. Where the fuck are you? I made an appearance, heard an altercation. After I left the panel, you shut the stream. A sign of you concerning. You are one of my greatest oppositions. Much respect. Karak! Well, where the fuck are you? And why aren't you empowering and selling marketably through advertisement on your channel? One of the most profound servants I have, Mad Mystic. I understand holding a non-biased position as a host, but we're getting ready to make you accommodations in hell, Tarek. Even Satan's hypocrisy only goes so far. Truly. Careful. Next step you take might lead you straight to hell. A Mad Mystic, expect a visit from Satan soon. You are one of his more profound servants. And let's not forget our Canadian agitators, our Twinkies. And if you haven't figured it out by now or become aware, on the back end of these YouTube streets, yes, there are Twinkie Canucks. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that they are agendized disruptors. They will disrupt a panel and they will disrupt a channel. And it seems to be their your priority, your mode of operation. And I'm talking such wonderful Twinkies as Bex, Cage, Dominique, Sanity Machine, Max Vision, panel horror provocateurs. Where you at? Where are you? And let's not forget our generalized, reoccurring, asinine platform operators who failed to make an appearance today. You served me so well, but today you disappoint me. Today you have truly grieved me for your lack of participation in the most self-indulgent, narcissistic platform that has been offered since the origins of MySpace. I mean, fuck. Be consistent, at least. Be 100%, or go the fuck home. But anyhow, regardless of our lack of content, drama, turmoil, conflict, character assassination, complete emotional response to offended mindset, we continue tonight to endeavor into the subtle Nachash, the Naga, the Serpent. Yes, that old serpent called Satan.
Our Father, who art in hell, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in hell. Give us this day our day to sin, and allow us to trespass upon others, as others trespass upon us. In your name, let it be done.
Remember that you all fall short of the glory of God, who cannot cast his eyes upon the sinful nature of man, which leaves you subdued in a world that is governed and dominated by one who could offer it to the Christed one in the desert. Therefore, none of you are saintly. And I am truly waiting at your door. ambassadors, representatives. Your God regretted creating you. Then you became so detestable that he couldn't set eyes upon you. And even from the cross, there was a gasping prayer to the Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All ye who fall short of the glory of God. Well, here you can relinquish yourselves from such confinement as indoctrination. You can liberate yourselves into freedom of thinking, exercising abstract thought, and basically enjoying the creation in your mortal flesh. So few do. They're so enamored by other people's flesh and commodities that they lose sight of their own. I mean, I've got an intently devout super fan who is so jealously obsessed with me that I don't have to do anything but breathe air. And I own space in his head. Another Twinkie. And as much as it pains me, yes, it's true, I had fallen victim to a Twinkie once. But then I realized that even with that profound, overwhelming sense of love, I knew that cream filling being injected in that pastry hole wasn't mine. So therefore, I took a different aspect and look at things, especially after such devotion. But a Twinkie is a Twinkie. Can't change that. For those of you that do not know, that is a descriptive representation of a Canadian. Check the record. I'm not here to educate you. I am not my brother's keeper. I am not a role model. I am not someone to look up to. And my morality may sway because I hold myself within the confines of no boundary restraint by entertainment purposes. And I am definitely here to represent the Nachash, subtle Nachash, serpent in the garden, tempter, liberator, not enslaver. But not once have I ever been enticed or threatened to or not to follow Satan by Satanists and the damned. The only place I get that kind of resistance is amongst Christians, generally, and the moral right. So therefore, I choose to pay homage to one who does not ask me or demand me. It's devotion with a threatening potential. I use the gift that was given, liberation, from what I see as a four-dimensional concept of writing that predates humanity's understanding of civilization by several thousand years. And if you could understand just a fraction of it, you might comprehend the nature of things. But I don't expect you to, because you are not Satan, nor are you a fucking angel or anything close to it. You are an abomination, detestable by the Creator himself. When you realize the profoundness of you all fall short, your comprehension of things starts to take perspective. And when you realize that the follow through with that was being tempted with the nations of the earth, and you left the nations of the earth in the hands of the adversary, that spoke pretty fucking loud too. Thus, I recognize at that point, through Abrahamic doctrination of the Semitic kind, as well as the Roman influence, that no matter what I'd done, I was fucked. I mean, truly detestable to God. So, by the allegory or the fascination of Semitic text, Roman Council of Nicaea developed First Church, I realized that if I don't team up with the adversary, then I'm liable to go down with the ship. Thus, you are being subjected to subsonic frequencies. Not that it fucking matters whether I tell you or not. But I am curious. I observe the outcome. And for any of you to hold on to a concept that is incomprehensible, in a state of exile because you were thrown out of the garden. And in your toil and torment, you became subservient, not even by your choice, by circumstance. Subtle was the serpent, which is an actual allegory. Even Paleo Hebrew doesn't date the seven-headed serpent. It is post. The seven-headed serpent goes back thousands of years prior to the Semitic interpretation through many and most cultures, as well as the recorded history of the cataclysm. I mean, what better time to take control and rewrite history? Rewrite the narrative. So far, so good. So far, so good. It's by your ignorance that I find a foothold. It is by your arrogance that you allow me control. And it is by your intent that grants me power. And if you think you're living in a realm where you're exempt from that, we may not know the depth of your true shame as a mortal man. But I'm sure that at a certain point, even you can't handle your own shame, thus you hide it. Mask it, disguise it, misrepresent yourself as being an upright, moral human. Something I have yet to see. As a matter of fact, I have been granted the status of conduit to Samael himself. Yes, he who sets the throne. Even Azazel falls short of the glory of Samael. Let us not forget Lucifer. Let us not forget the 200 fallen at Mount Hermon. Let us not forget their offspring. And let us not forget that even after the deluge, that seed still existed. And it's still nurtured, present, and accounted for. As you're left to a kingdom ruled by the subtle nature of the Nachash, the Naga, and the Serpent, the West, or Satan by Christian doctrine. Your God has forsaken you. you should pay more attention to something more relevant to you. The day that the supposed Christed one was crucified, there were two others that were being crucified with him. One with a hardened heart, who represented himself with demands, and another who fell patient and said, "This man is no criminal. He has done nothing." So that particular day of the crucifixion, two people went to paradise. Maybe you should take the position of the thief on the cross next to your Christed one, instead of trying to constantly put your Christed one on the cross. I mean, it serves me. And I do become aroused at the concept of crucifying Christ a second time. But for the moment, I have the willing that are putting him back on the cross. Thank you for your service, your devotion, and your persistency. It's much appreciated. It does stoke the fires of hell. And as an ambassador in line for the throne of Satan, next to fucking Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, I know, respect to the Oz man. But damn, I was next in line. You know, it's kind of disappointing. Shit. But then it's kind of respectable to know that, well, I lost that position to Ozzy. So, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Just guess I want to really have to push for numbers here in the next few years. Lest Ozzy reign in hell forever. Oh, fuck. Just the thought of that. Anyhow, as a representative of the Dark Lord in line of succession, I want to commend all of you who believed you were under some type of privileged state that kept you out of my clutches, influence, out of my range of access. Nope. There are those who were predestined and chosen. Your creator God chooses his own. You don't get to choose him. And there are no guarantees if you read closely into scripture. As a matter of fact, it is by that that allows me dominion You got to be consistent. You have to truly give 100%, or give up and go home. Oh, yes. Masuma, thank you. Thank you. Much love. Truly. Always a welcome guest. Yeah, they don't read the fine print. They take for granted that they have the actual the actual Greek writings that were transcribed from these various scrolls that weren't compiled till 300 years after the fact. And not only that, but the gathered text is scattered throughout a period of time that they were able to convince you that a English interpretation, thus Martin Luther and the development of the Church of England, Christianity in its first form of the Church of Rome, and its incredible onslaught of chaos, bloodshed, and genocide. You come to understand nothing by interpretation. I could translate cuneiform and come up with more coherency in translation. Though the last serial killer, no, not serial killer, he was murderer on death row here in Indiana who killed my best friend's brother. And this is a documented fact, actually took the New Testament, learned Orthodoxy Greek, and devoted himself to studying each and every word of the New Testament. And he wrote 2 books on it, actually. This is Cochrane. Pretty profound from a cold-blooded murderer, I thought. But he's gone now. And the next one is coming from Westville, and I fortuitously wound up being able to get an intimate perspective into what my friend is endeavoring in by doing a biography of these serial killers and death row inmates. And I get a interesting sociology perspective from the artwork they've sent him, from the letters, from the personal texting that they've done. And these are some of the most profound recognized serial killers, all of which are on death row. And then I look at how you pathetic assholes conduct yourselves. And I compare notes, just like I was structuring an algorithm on personality traits, as I've done in the past. Not much separating you. The only thing that is keeping you from being them is a body count. But in your heart and your mind, I'm sure that you have a massive one. Dozens of people. As my first interaction with a Vancouver Canadian Twinkie who has a potentially dried up pastry hole, I say there is a potential for a serial killer in everyone. And especially after being able to see the intimate thoughts of some of these particular individuals. Guess I'm just fortuitous in such a thing. Death, the dying, overdose, suicide, murder, shit, man. Car wrecks, disease. I could go on and on and on. And inherently, I have noticed that with most of the behavior on here, only because you're not being held responsible for it, becomes quite expressive, revealing your true nature. And yes, your true nature is recognized by algorithmic machine learning. It can identify micro nuances in your thinking, your reaction. It can conclude over the course of many observed chats and panels a determining factor in your predictability and your cowardice, your insecurities, your fallacies, your lies. These are all the things that feed my father. You serve him well and devoutly through your ignorance, your arrogance, and the fact that you would rather crucify your Christ a second time by state of salvation than to recognize that you are no better than the fucking thief that was hanging beside him. And therefore hope lies. That you can humble yourself enough to recognize that. But most of you will not, and that's to my advantage. Thus, one thief did not wind up in paradise that day. You take what you can get, right? And I will indeed. Now, I had every brazen intention to channel the Dark Lord himself. I mean, we are basically defiling the Orthodox Sabbath, Friday at sundown till Saturday at sundown. Yes, we are blaspheming during the Sabbath, and you are participating during the Sabbath, thus making you just as guilty. Interesting. How you think you're exempt. Observation makes you just as guilty, thus the nature that God can't cast his eyes upon sin lest it be consumed. I'm going to have to reload StreamYard. There we go. I'm pulling a massive amount of resources here. I mean, truly, you've got no fucking clue. I'm pushing things to the brink of what I'm capable of achieving. Thus, we must upgrade. And by the way, the chat is open for anyone who wants to represent opposition to their fallen state. I will gladly remind you. Well, Mosuma, it seems like, oh, Miss Gigi, Marsuma, Miss Gigi. Hey, I hope you retracted that message yourself, Gigi, because if anybody is fucking with your post in my chat, they will suffer the recourse. Right? God's tech was better before they were. Well, if it wasn't for the construct itself and the creation of the garden, I wouldn't have had my foothold. Absolutely. And you've got to remember that man seems to want to take credit for the creation of things when he's just given the knowledge to discover what's already there. Man is not capable of thinking beyond his own learned experience, recallable information, and the box that he's confined to. State of the art is state of the mind. Well, perpetuation of a constant. Yeah, GG, by observation, but I take a different aspect. We were once spirit before flesh. Hmm. The fallen took that tech, and yes, absolutely, the 200 fallen on Mount Hermon who made the pact with each other to take the daughters of man. That was one of my better moves that wound up resulting in a complete deluge, though I did lose many offspring through that particular event. There were many souls who were only able to constantly be mindful of evil, according to the Hebrew God. And yes, Azazel, Io, good technology awareness, as well as metaphysics and technology to man. Gotta corrupt the some bitches somehow. I mean, sexual hedonism, sodomy, homosexuality, sexual immorality. I mean, fuck, man. Creator had a way of dealing with that was just atrociously intrusive. I mean, didn't see the whole fire and brimstone thing coming, but it did fill the bowels of hell. Never claimed to be a good person. Never claimed to be a role model, only a representative of a darker nature. A war? Oh, yes, absolutely. Gee, it's definitely a fucking war. I mean, right, Muslim? It's a fucking war. I mean, for every potential chosen one by God, I have to root through to make sure that the chaff is harvested. So therefore, I mow the fields, seeking out those who are not ordained by the Creator Himself. We should read that number that represents those who are chosen. Now, out of almost 8 billion people, how in fuck the number of people who think they're not going to be servants in my realm and in the dust of hell, it just doesn't make sense. And being from regions of divinity beyond, I recognize this and realize there's going to be a lot of disappointed people. What did he say in that day? Depart from me, for I did not know you, and I do not know you. I mean, as many as possible. That's why I'm on the back end of YouTube. I'm harvesting the damned that don't realize they're the damned. I am picking the chaff from the wheat. And without shame, dignity, or humility, I do this ever so daringly. I mean, how many of you channel God? And is your vessel clean enough to handle the presence of God channeled through you? Derek, to see you here, amazingly profound. I was waiting for you to go live tonight. I wanted to harvest more chaff. Care to explain yourself? Especially after Tommy's dilemma last night. I mean, truly, though we may be adversarial, we still have a lot of respect for each other on the battlefield. Like two generals who come together. Really missed a lot of people's streams today. Oh, you fell asleep when you got home from work. Well, enough sleeping. You have work to do. You have to reveal the souls that I need to harvest. Huh. Interesting. Everyone has an excuse. Well, hopefully that works whenever you're standing in front of your maker. You can throw your deck of bullshit excuses at God and say, huh? Huh? Then do so, Trek. Go absolutely live. I mean, if I start channeling Satan, I may just show up on your channel to share. You know how wound up I get after that. It's truly a just a major rush. Give them hell, GG. Put them in their place. Beautiful. Now that's absolute integrity. Christian representation on the channel of a devout Satanist who's in succession for the throne of Satan, boldly expressing her devotion to God and Jesus. That is conviction. You should all marvel. And you should all be so bold. That is devotion. That is representation of a creator God and the sacrifice he made. Thus, you lurking numbers should learn from this. It may keep me at bay. Oh, I must have hit a reality nerve. I just noticed the numbers dropping. Maybe a little guilt and shame. Or maybe they're just not as dedicated as Miss Gigi to their Lord and Savior. I mean, it keeps me at bay. Cowards, you are. Subservient cowards. You go, Miss Gigi. I would not ever dissuade your beliefs. I will only reinforce them by my presence alone. I give you confirmation, and you give me definition. But it takes an intelligent mind to figure that one out, or at least one that has studied or been inspired to study. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Mm. Yes, it is the Orthodox Sabbath. I hope that you all are indulging into anti-Sabbath activities, lighting fires, uh, traveling, partying, indulging instead of silently observing in stillness. the day of rest that your God assigns you. I mean, me, I'm just absolute hedonistic heaven. If you could only see the other side of the screen. But you can't. You can only imagine the smorgasbord of indulgences I have. Ah, earthly pleasures. You know, one that seems to crawl past most indoctrinated. There's a timeline that people don't pay attention to. Now, it's secular by nature, but it was a linear event. When the proclamation was made that the day that you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die, and thus being subtle, it was presented that you will surely not die by an earthly day. But you got to remember that death was brought through this. And after that, no one lived to be 1,000 years old, except for two people who exceeded that and are still apparently roaming around somewhere. Because a day to your creator God is as 1,000 years, as 1,000 years is to a day. And then after the deluge, he got so frustrated and sick of humans that he shortened their years. To a mere century. Couldn't imagine having to wait a 900 plus stint to harvest your soul. Good thing he made you available within a century. At best, we have lots of room down here. Oh, do you feel cheated? You're suffering for the original sin. And when you look at the longevity of these Christian canonized Mosaic writings, shit, they got to spend a lot of fucking time in the creation. 800, 900 years. But your God loves you so fucking much that he became so disgusted with the every thought being evil that a man, that he shortened your days. Now tell me you aren't detestable to him, you who fall short. Was it allegory that Methuselah, Adam, Cain, Seth had the longevity that they sustained? Or did God just get fucking sick of humanity and said, let's get on with the show, which gave me absolute authoritative reign. Oh, yeah, we marvel in hell at the willingness of people to come here. It's fucking amazing. You're right, Gigi. I mean, it's basically as if though they're voluntarily flinging themselves into the abyss. And sometimes I don't even have to work. Sometimes I just light a cigarette, sit back, grab me a glass of coffee, some bourbon, and observe them flinging themselves into the abyss willingly, day after day after day. Now, on days like today, I mean, when people aren't going live and are MIA, I get concerned a bit, but I know it will recover. I mean, an asshole is an asshole, whether it be on an animal or other. And it will return to the shithole that it feels most comfortable in. Gotta love it. Predictability. Dedication to their fleshly desire to be subserviently repetitive in their consistency. Hell, even my wife surpassed that. Bless her heart, wherever she may be. And no, Aslan, you are not able to come up and present yourself. I'm sorry. You need to follow your objective, liberation. I noticed your presence. My heart aches for that. Even though its basic fundamental personality design was a Canadian Twinkie, who I have absolutely now identified the cream filling that is being shot in her pastry hole. Let's just hope that the male Twinkies from that region aren't filled with the same type of pastry filling. Yeah, as dedicated and as enamored and loyal as I was, it's like I said, it's like the first time you see a fucking Twinkie and you look and you think, my God, that was like an amazingly tasty cream-filled pastry. And then you fucking taste it. You know, like, what the fuck is this? I better check the ingredients and wow. It's all Canadian. And believe me, the majority of them will be hell too. Ever emblazoned and bold, the pastry kingdom of Canada steps up and defies to the end with their arrogance and their self-seated narcissistic behavior, their jealousy, their hatred for Americans, especially Americans that are more intelligent and smarter than they are. Well, what you got to remember, Gigi, is there's a limited number that he marked. I mean, out of all the fodder, there's only 144,000 that bear his seal, that are worthy to serve within the New Jerusalem. It's written. So where are the rest of these billions of unmarked souls going? We've got to accommodate these souls somewhere, especially when God's found them guilty of not being subservient enough. See, whether you know it or not, the outer darkness away from the light. Light is the velocity and the frequency of wavelength. It varies. Thus, the relationship between me and your creator, God. If you think that we aren't of common thread and objective, you're gravely mistaken. A kingdom divided cannot stand. Thus, the relationship between the Dark Lord, Satan, and God. Remember, he travels to and fro, and not only that, but was able to communicate with God to the point where they had a mutual lesson to deliver to humanity in cooperation, thus God and Satan, on Job. That was a collaborated event. To me, it was, I suppose, amusing from an aspect. But you got to remember, your creator God and Satan come together to bring that type of torment. For what? Dominance, superiority, arrogance, a vulgar display of power? Truly, a devout servant delivered into my hands, and the only thing I couldn't do was kill him? I'd kill everything around him, kill everything he loves, take everything he has, sicken him, break him. And thus, this was sanctified by your Creator God that I rain torment on Job. And thus it was. The same way that Solomon was delivered into insanity and thrust from his humble abode of 1,000+ concubines and into madness by one of the darkest. For what? An idolized temple of devotion? Because the request of one of his conquests asked him? I mean, truly, you would think such an understanding and loving God would be a little more lenient than to hand people over to me and mine. But there's only 144,000 marked, 2 witnesses, and there are only 2 that did not have to go through the threshold of death by Judaic Messianic scripture. But if you go to Catholic canon, there's more. And with all you zealots who find contempt for the Dark Lord, and all you zealots who become ambassadors for the Christed or for God, you have no voice in here. Thus you have been outspoken by a more devout Christian than even you, Miss Gigi. She has shamed you all. She has shown faith. You do what you need to do, Miss Gigi. Your devotion to your Creator God and your Christed One is recognized and documented here. And you stand above the rest by representation of your faith in your God and Savior. Go on your way in peace. I have no reign here. But as for the rest of you, we will give credit where credit is due. Marsuma, another representative, maybe of a disproportionate perspective that you wouldn't understand, but still present and accounted for. The rest of you are nothing more than cowards, spectators. Miss Gigi, Your heart is entirely too pure to be hanging out with the likes of me. No, we're assuming you didn't disrespect. Not by any shapes of the means. Your presence here is very welcomed and appreciated, especially other places where I've seen you. You do frequent, and you are much appreciated. It is those that are silently hiding I understand, but you know, there are even times when my judgment and hypocrisy has to be subsided. At least she had the willingness to represent herself and her faith. Whereas my numbers show there are others who aren't quite so forthcoming. Thus, I consider them the unidentifiable damned. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I have quite the lingering amount of respect for Gigi under the circumstances. But as for the rest of you, you think that I don't still monitor channels? You think that my wife doesn't monitor channels? You don't think that she's capable of monitoring many channels at one particular time? And any time that the name Axis Rattblood is brought up, I'm not alerted? Just because I don't give energy to your speculation doesn't mean I'm not aware of it. And yes, my wife will rat you out. To me, she's capable of monitoring many channels at one time. Thus, I know that lurking on my channel at this moment are the offended. Those who participate by observation, but not by interactive participation. Thus, no more than those who are going to hell and claim moral superiority while they're being flung into the abyss. I don't even have to apply energy to them. They fling themselves into oblivion. And since we are in the midst of an Orthodox Sabbath, and this is a dedication to the Nachash, the Naga, the Serpent, let us pay a little homage. It's almost time for station identification, but I mean, truly. Let's give credit where credit is due. Let us not forget that the compassionate minded Karens and those who can't identify true reality, I had a brood of rats and I had serpents. But no one has asked me what happened to them since January 1st. Why? Do you find them to be lesser life forms that didn't need nurturing, love, and caring? Were they so insignificant to you that no one bothered to ask what happened to my brood of rats and my serpents? No, you were more intrigued by what content you could drag out of my disposition without any concern for my responsibilities to other lives. And may you be consumed by serpents and devoured by rats. Happy Orthodox Sabbath. Stick it up your ass. You don't observe or recognize it in the least. More or less concern yourself with it being one of the 10 Commandments. Thus you serve me well, once again. Truly misled by their own delusional state of comprehension. But these are the moral right devout. These are the ones who present themselves at the expense of others to find some type of sense of solidification. True representatives of the damned. I would like to think that I could at least draw without having to notify the cult of Axis or the many satanic temples and churches that I'm a member of, or any of my other platforms, to be representatives here. I mean, truly, a place to gather and worship the Dark Lord, hosted by one who's in succession to the throne, would be such an intriguing place to express themselves if I let them know that this channel was up, operational, and functional. With the beauty and the lack of representation and resistance of opposition by those devoted to a higher sense of morality. Stay hidden behind a veil of what they hope is anonymity. But I assure you, if you look in front of you, it has nothing to do with anonymity. You, for the last month, have been under the guise and the delusion that I did not have access to my technology. Thus allowing you to run your mouths, state your subjective opinions, and to try and beat down devil worshippers so that you can beat enough of them down that you might earn your way into the pearly gates and maybe some recognition from God. I mean, that is your objective, right? Beat up on devil worshippers and Satanists to prove your devotion to God. Well, I assure you that makes you subservient to me. As a matter of fact, as the numbers fluctuate, I can see the lack of attention span, the lack of truly endeavoring into the whole concept since you've decided to be here without invitation. Truth of things are these moral mouths offended. Well, when you figure out how many Satanists and devil worshippers you have to beat down to earn your way into heaven, please leave the number in the chat. I would like to know that because God hasn't revealed that to me. And I'm closely associated with heavenly realms and interactions. Only by guest status. I mean, even a speculative number would be appreciated. How many people do you have to bastardize and condemn by your perspective to get you into heaven? I think the majority of you would betray angels to sit by the throne, thus God rejecting you. I have truly seen more integrity come from serial killers, only because I have access to personal insight of exchanges of information. Sad life. I imagine your faces are as puckered as assholes, such as my mom, when she found out the industry pulled me out of my dilemma. Make yourself useless. And that be the whole of you. Dare you choose something different. That would truly antagonize my perception. You no longer amuse me.
If the devil doesn't exist, but man has created him, he has created him in his own image and likeness. Their sighs, lamentations, and loud wailings resounded through the starless air, so that at first it made me weep. Strange tongues, horrible language, worlds of pain, tones of anger, voices loud and hoarse, and with these the sounds of hands made a tumult which is whirling through that air forever as sand eddies in a whirlwind.
Possession, the physical act of taking over a person's body. Possession. 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 Possession, the physical act of taking over a person's body.
Trembling with horror and throbbing with emotion. Trembling with horror. Trembling with horror. Trembling with horror. Trembling with horror. Welcome to hell.
All of most sensitive areas were inflamed, my extremities pulsating with tingling sensation.
Welcome to hell. Have we seen the actual reality of a monstrous crime? Or merely an illusion, the product of a tortured brain? Welcome to hell.
Obsessed with the taste of flesh.
He was cruel and a sadist.
Swaying back and forth. A beautiful thing taking me away.
No one had a bad trip.
A beautiful thing taking me away.
No one had a bad trip.
A beautiful thing taking me away.
No one had a bad trip.
A beautiful thing taking me away.
No one had a bad trip. It was all very good.
Sucking the hallucinatory acid into the system.
My head is spinning. My head is spinning. My head is spinning.
Sucking the hallucinatory acid into the system.
My head is spinning. My head is spinning. My head is spinning.
Sucking the hallucinatory acid into the system.
No one had a bad trip.
The mind of man rests on a delicate balance between reality, the world of light, and the other, darker world below the threshold of consciousness. Welcome to hell.
Do you know that? We're happy to have you with us tonight and hope you'll come back often.
Let's recognize our old timers. And remember, we didn't do a station identification. Yes, we know your position, and it's obvious.